I'm pleased that the committee has gathered today for our first legislative business meeting of the 117th Congress. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee must be in the lead as we respond to the unprecedented foreign policy crises of our time, restore America's role in the world, and reaffirm our core values of democracy and human rights. Today, we take a first step on that agenda as we mark up 15 bipartisan bills and resolutions, including legislation reaffirming our alliances around the world, supporting democracy in Cuba and Venezuela, and addressing ongoing challenges in Syria, Ethiopia, and elsewhere. I plan to hold regular legislative business meetings and hope that each of you will join the ranking member and me as we create a robust bipartisan agenda for the committee. And I look forward to working with each of you on your legislative priorities. Before I speak briefly about the items on their agenda, there are two items that will no longer be considered today. I received a request to hold over S-413, the China Censorship Act, and I will be holding over S-814, the Ukraine Security and Partnership Act. Both are solid pieces of legislation. I commend Senators Merkley and Risch, respectively, on their work, and I look forward to taking up both bills after the recess. For members' awareness and maybe to call attention to the rules, I opted to hold over the Ukraine bill despite my strong support and co-sponsorship. I did so in light of a late-breaking request yesterday evening to rewrite and submit a previously filed first-degree amendment. That would have been out of the rules. And the reason we have those rules is so that all members understand what they're voting on and have an opportunity to understand what amendments are coming their way so they can make an informed judgment on them. I strongly support senators' rights to offer amendments, but it's also imperative that all of you have the time to consider amendments before you vote on them. So I plan to take up the Ukraine bill at the next business meeting in the near future, and senators will once again have an opportunity to submit amendments. While we have a robust agenda today, I'd like to comment on a few specific legislative items, starting with the Trans-Sahel bill, which I co-authored with the ranking member, and I thank him for his partnership on this critical piece of legislation. As we restore America's role in the world and protect our national security interests, we have to refocus on the Sahel, where we're on the verge of losing the region to terrorism. Last year, there was a 44% increase in violent attacks attributed to militant Islamist groups in the Sahel, with a 57% increase in the deaths attributable to those attacks. That's why this bipartisan bill authorizes a new Trans-Sahara counterterrorism partnership to build capacity in the Sahel to combat terrorism and terrorist ideology. As we all learned on September 11th, we have to take on terrorism abroad so we don't have to fight it here at home. I'm also pleased that our agenda contains numerous resolutions reaffirming our democratic values and standing up for human rights around the world. As we will discuss shortly at our hearing, democracy is under threat in our own hemisphere, and that's why I've worked with my friend and colleague Senator Rubio on a Venezuela resolution and two Cuba resolutions. In November of 2020, the world saw a renewed wave of activism in Cuba as a diverse group of artists from the San Isidro movement sparked a wave of protests against restrictions on freedom of expression. Their efforts built on more than 15 years of peaceful activism by Cuba's ladies in white, who have faced years of repression. Our two resolutions express our support for Cuban activists and human rights defenders and document the Cuban regime's persecution of civil society leaders. Senator Rubio and I also authored a resolution denouncing the Maduro regime's fraudulent legislative elections in Venezuela, something that has been recognized as fraudulent internationally, expressing concerns about crimes against humanity and calling for a renewed multilateral response to the Venezuela crisis. Unfortunately, Latin America is not the only region in the world where democracy is under threat, and our agenda includes resolutions supporting democratic movements in Syria, Burma, and Ethiopia. I've also introduced other items on the agenda that provide hope for democratic progress and peace, including resolutions recognizing the 200th anniversary of the independence of Greece and expressing support for the full implementation of the Good Friday Agreement. In similar vein, I also note the resolution that Senator Risch and I co-sponsored on the importance of U.S. alliances and partnership. Finally, as everyone is aware, Senator Risch and I are working together to write a bipartisan China bill with the goal of providing the text to everyone on the committee in the next few days. We intend to work with each of you to ensure that your China priorities are included in this text, which we will mark up the week of April 12th. Let me close by noting again how pleased I am at the promising bipartisan effort that produced today's agenda. I look forward to considering and moving similar lists to the 117th Congress. And with that, I recognize the distinguished ranking member, Senator Risch, for his remarks.
Well, thank you very